Hi, good evening, folks. My name is Jay Smith. I'm a real estate broker here in Jacksonville. And recently, one of my clients developed an interest in your property there on 6th Street. And I wanted to explain a little bit about this offer and let you know also that it's quite unlikely that my client is going to be willing to come up over that $120,000. And, there's a lot of reasons for this. I know that you had your house appraised, and the appraisal came back at, what was it, 147, the offer price or the listing price. Appraisals can be very helpful for determining value. But one thing about appraisals that is sometimes misunderstood, and that is that an appraisal is done based strictly on what homes have sold for, the dollar value of homes that have sold that are comparable in that area and within a reasonable amount of time. So it kind of compares what your house would sell for based on what other homes have sold for in the area. But what an appraisal doesn't take into consideration is how many homes have sold. And when there's a whole lot of homes available and only a very few homes are selling, the price that an appraiser sets is not going to be as important. In this case, for you guys, homes in your zip code, in your price range, which is between $140,000 and $150,000, in the last 3 months, there's been 5 properties, just 5. That's right, only 5 that have sold. And one of those sales was to an investor. So that leaves, in the last 3 months, 4 homes total that have sold in your area. That's it. There's been nothing selling. There's a ton of homes available currently still on the market in your price range. And many of those homes have been sitting, just like you guys. They've been sitting. I even have a listing in that area and in that exact price range. I've had it for 6 months. And in that 6 months, I've had 3 showings and no offers because there's just no buyers. That's the problem. There's so few buyers right now looking in the price range in which you guys have your property. I don't think dropping the price is going to help really, to be honest. But let me just get into a little bit more here. So the first piece, though, is that the appraisal, I understand why you would want to stick to that, but the appraisal is based on not enough information. There's just not enough information there. And you have competition and a lot of really great homes that you're competing against that are older homes like yours that don't need any renovations whatsoever. Nothing. They're beautiful, complete. And that brings me to the second piece. Now, the appraisal is one piece, and that just has to do with the market conditions, but the condition of your home. So now, my client and I both really appreciate that you've got so many structural things that have been taken care of with your property. The newer roof and the newer electric and plumbing that's been recently updated. And I think the windows too, right? I think all the big HVAC, all that big stuff, the new tankless water heater, those are all important things. But against you, the big one is the lead-based paint that's on the outside of the house. And the problem is you can't just paint over that. You can't chip it away. You have to have a specially licensed contractor with a special permit collect the lead-based paint off of the house. It's very expensive. And unfortunately, it's so obvious what it is that if we tried to clear that paint off without having the permit, the city could really come down on my client. And that's a risk that she's not willing to take. And I don't blame her, I'm not talking about just because of the cracking. Okay, lead-based paint has a very specific way of cracking, and you guys unfortunately exhibit that. So besides the lead-based paint though, you've got open walls. Those have to be sealed up. You've got exposed wires and lights that need to be taken care of. There's many problems inside the house that maybe are more cosmetic, but that still are, you know, don't bring it up to the level in which your competition is at. And I'm not talking about, you know, higher end renovation. I'm just talking about the condition of the home. That's really what it is. So there's a lot of work. And with that lead-based paint issue, abating the lead-based paint on the outside especially, along with everything else, you know, we're talking about a $30,000 bill, could be even more than that, to get that all done. Because the paint on the outside is going to be half of that much, probably even more than half, maybe at close to 20,000. So I'm also, I just wanted to let you know, this is not has anything to do with you guys. She really loves your house. We both do. It's a beautiful home. It is. But it has to fit also in her budget. And the thing is that she delivered you guys her pre-qualification letter. And I know that she can come up based on that qualification letter some from what it is that we have written there. She could do that. The problem is that when a person goes to the top of their ability to purchase, the mortgage quite often becomes very difficult for them to fit in their budget, and they're at much greater risk of not being able to maintain making the payments. It's right at the top, guys. I mean, that between that 130,000 and what she's asking, that gives her enough wiggle room, that extra, what is it, $100, enough wiggle room in her payment that she's not going to be, living on hot dogs and mac and cheese. And if something goes wrong, she's still going to be able to put a little money away, maybe not much, but a little money away every month. And if she topped out her budget, that might not be the case. So we've got a bunch of other properties there, like I said, that we're looking at now as well, if this one doesn't go through, that are, ready to go. Their ability to get somebody in immediately without doing anything is much better. Move in ready, right? That's kind of what it is. And your guy can search out and find those for you, and I can provide him a list of the ones that we're looking at, if it would be helpful. But at the end of the day, the cost of repair that needs to happen to get it to the same level as another home, very similar in size and age, in similar area as yours, that's priced at, quite a lot less, but to get it at that same quality level of livability is going to cost her, more money than what makes sense. And so with all of that said, we just feel that 120,000 is the right price. We're not trying to, cheese this in any way. It's just that there's expense with your house. I mean, and I know you know that. And her budget is right for 120. And that's why we wrote it at 120, so that you guys would know. And this is also why we're probably not going to, I'm certain that she's not going to come up out of that number. So that's going to be her, basically at her number. So I wanted you to just have an opportunity to hear what I had to say about it, to get an idea of why we're where we are. And I hope that you understand, once again, we're not trying to take advantage. It's just, it really, with our market, it's the right price. Okay. And once again, my name is Jay. Please have your agent call me. He's got my number, so we can work this out. Okay. And I just hope we can. That's all. And thanks for listening.